Welcome everyone, welcome back to our channel. In this video you're going to see what we found while deciding what to do with our floors and what was the best solution moving forward. So before we get into that, I actually want to go ahead and just give you guys a look around in the room. This is the living room kitchen, and just to see what we're kind of up against. The first thing is in renovation is to assess what you're going to do. Plan out thoroughly what it is you're going to do step by step. I know sometimes in renovation that kind of gets thrown to the wind, and then you end up kind of dealing with situations you didn't think you were going to come upon. I do know that, but however, you do have to have some kind of solid plan of how you're going to tackle this sort of job. And like I've said before in other videos, we are not professionals. You know, we look at YouTube videos and we're looking online on suggestions. When we go to Home Depot, you know, we're asking questions. So this is all a learning experience for us. So please, while you're watching this video, you kind of take it as that. We thought about what we should do, and then we kind of rethought everything actually in regards to how we're going to tackle especially the floor issue, and you'll actually see that in this video. But the first thing I do want to go ahead and just talk about is the first thing that we came upon was space. What do we do about the space that we have? How do we work in this space? It's really tight, it's small, we have things in there. I mean, we're talking about tools, lumber, drywall, you know, a couple of cabinets for the kitchen. All of that is still in the room, and that is also with us moving a few things into our bedroom and office as well. So our office and bedroom is packed as with a lot of stuff. So what we came up with, or our idea was, okay, if we're limited on space, why don't we focus on a small length of the room where we're going to clear everything, and then as we work through, we would push everything to that space, to that floor that's finished, and then start working on the next floor, and so on and so forth. So the plan is, in this space here, we're going to work on the floor, we're going to open it up, deal with that, and then move on with moving all of our tools and stuff like that onto the next section of the room. So that was our plan, and I have to say it worked pretty well. I'm really happy that we decided to do that. But you know, there really isn't so much you could do, like I said, because the space is limited. And as you can see here, we also made like a little temporary kitchen for ourselves too. So all of that's going to have to eventually be moved as well. And that right there in that plastic, that's our sofa. So we still have a lot of stuff to think about as far as moving, but you guys will see, maybe in the next video I'll show you actually how we started to move everything over to the section that we finished. So the first part, right, is to do this tedious work that I continuously hate doing, which is taking out the staples, the nails, and the parts of the wood panel that was glued. I really loathe doing this part of the renovation because it is so tedious, but you know, it's something that you have to do, so you know, you kind of deal with it. Maybe one day I'll love it, so we'll see about that. There were different tools that I did use to actually try to get these staples out. There were small staples on the walls, and then there were larger staples up on the ceiling. So I'm just trying out here different tactics of how to get these staples out and get them out fast. The tool that I did end up using, However, to actually make it go faster was a plier, and the plier actually worked a lot better than these tools here that you see I'm using. It was really, touch and go with these staples. You would think after the master bedroom I would, know how to do this by now, but we're always looking for different tools and different strategies of how to attack each room. So it's definitely a learning experience. So I thought about whether I should show this to you guys or not, but I did think it was important in regards to understanding renovation. Okay, so this is pretty nasty and gross. So make sure you're always wearing gloves. I actually had a mask on when I was doing this as well. You don't want to breathe any of this in. If you're wondering what those white little things are, they are lizard eggs. Yes, where we are, there are lizards everywhere. So in our wall, there are lizard eggs. Luckily, they're all dead. There were no live insects. There were no live, rodents, bugs, roaches, or whatever you could think of. No live lizards as well. And that is due to the previous owner actually bombing the place before we bought it. So we were very, very thankful that that was done before we bought it. That was definitely something to be honest, I don't think I could have stayed there if I knew there were live, creatures roaming around in the house. So that was one thing that we did have to tackle, as far as when we were opening up the walls. That is what we were hoping for, the best situation, to be honest. We were hoping there weren't going to be any, but as you could see, there was plenty to see and clean up and deal with. So here I'm just vacuuming up all of that mess. We do have an industrial vacuum here to make sure that we get everything up and cleaned. After I vacuumed all of this mess, I actually sprayed with some pesticides as well, and also I sprayed some of the chemicals for future bugs and whatnots that may pop up in the future. So it's always about being thorough. It is kind of very scary when you're opening up the walls because you don't know what to expect. And I do want to note too, when I was doing the master bedroom and the office, yes, there were things like this in those walls, and you can even look in the previous videos where we had to clean a lot of the mounds from the termites. So that is something I don't think I was really prepared for, as far as what I would find in the wall. There were tons and tons of termite mounds in this living room. It just seemed like they just made a nice home for themselves in these walls. I had to clean a lot of that out, and it was pretty gross, just to tell you, and I didn't do a video of that. It's not something I want to think about when I'm renovating, so I tried to hurry up and just kind of clean it and move on. So just to let you guys know, that is something that you might have to deal with when you're renovating. So this tool here that he's using is called the Sawzall, and this is what he had to use to actually cut through the larger construction nails that was attached to the plywood, the old floor, to the old frame joist there on the wall. So we had to do that as far as the corners. So once we got a few of these boards up from the floor, we did have to assess how we were going to tackle the next steps here. So, moving forward in this video, what I really wanted to do was actually have my husband do the voiceover for the rest of the video. He could actually describe in detail what it was actually he had to do as far as the new framework and the new flooring that we had to put in for this space. So, yeah, he's going to do that for you, and I'll be back at the end of the video.
Hello everyone. So basically what we end up having to do is pretty much replace and sister every joist, every wall, every ceiling joist to get this right. All the wood in the whole living room is damaged by the past termites. So we're basically just framing on the inside of everything, creating a new structure. The old studs, as you can see, one, they're eaten by termites, and two, they're only 2x2, which is like, I really don't know how it's still standing up, but it's just really thin. It's almost like you got a toothpick house. But so I'm doing 16 on center, 2x4s. Here I could not get on top of the main cross beam on the end, so I had to sister some boards going adjacent to the end of the trailer to be able to use joist hangers to run the long joists, the 8-footers, from beam to beam. Going across each beam, every 4 feet, there are steel beams that intersect with the new joist. So in the middle and each end, there's support on those beams, in addition to sistering to the old beams. Okay, so right here, I was trying to figure out how to seal up the bottom without going on the bottom. So we decided later not to do that. Once we're done everything, we're just going to put a new underbelly on the whole trailer to do the vapor barrier underneath and, be done with that. Okay, so right here, I'm just cutting up the old floor. Originally, we're just hoping to, replace some parts of the subfloor that were damaged. But once we opened it up and saw how bad the joists were, we had no choice. And, framing lumber is pretty cheap. The most expensive part of fixing this is probably the insulation added. Going from 1 centimeter insulation to 4 inches of insulation, it'll make a big difference on energy savings and keeping the trailer cool all around. So here, I'm trying to work on the edges first to keep the floor support as much as possible, while we're pulling it up, and then, just work our way back and, try not to walk on the studs as much as possible, because, there were some incidences where we fell through the little cardboard floor that we have. But overall, we feel a lot better that we're taking these precautions to make everything sturdy and hopefully don't blow away in the next hurricane. So right here, I'm just cutting across, set the depth of, this is actually, one of my old beat up skill saws. It doesn't track very well. I just use it for demolition purposes only. It gets the job done. I'm using a DeWalt demolition blade. It's pretty good. It cuts right through the nails and the wood. One suggestion is, if you're ever doing work like this, save your knees, wear some knee pads. It really helps out a lot, especially when you're out of shape and get up in age like myself. Okay, so here you see that, the old joist and sistering the new floor joist right to that, but I'm not depending on that for support. I'm actually making sure each end is on top of a cross beam, so that it's pretty much its own support, and the old beams are there just, it's almost there like a shell. It's not really doing anything anymore. And on the ends, we put 2 or 3 extra joists on the edges. I just wanted to make sure that it was extra sturdy over there. And I'm probably going in the corners, I'm probably going to do some kind some kind of concrete footer, and keep the corners of the trailer on something very sturdy.
Well, I hope you guys got a good description there of what we had to do for the new floors. Everything is a learning experience for us. We this is all trial and error, so nothing that we do is for sure. Just to let you guys know, this is the best solution that we thought, and how to move forward with doing the floor joints, and what we would possibly do with the walls as well. And that will actually be in our next video, where I'm actually showing you guys what we did with the wall joists and with the window frame. Okay, so what we did was actually we just cleaned up those cardboards stayed on the floor. Those were the old cardboards. We thought they were good enough to keep. And then we put new insulation over top of the cardboard, and then we put the new floorboards on top of everything. So it was really good to actually see the new floorboards go in, and actually standing on something sturdy. That was actually a really good moment for us, because we kind of knew that we were in the right direction, and that we were going to have something that was actually going to last, and we wouldn't have to worry about it, possibly falling apart on us, or something that would probably disintegrate with all those termite damage that we keep talking about there. And this is, I'm just showing you guys process of my husband cutting some of the floorboards before we actually put them on to the floor. And just to let you guys know too, that what we did was we didn't go for a straight board, and what I mean by that is we didn't stack it side by side. What we decided to do was actually we did halves on each side, and we did that because we wanted to make sure that we had a good support for each floor that we were possibly walking on or going to walk on. So if you use let's say you use the whole board that you have, you won't have enough support for all of the sections of the joist. So what you do want to create is some sort of scissoring stack of your floor, so that you have 4 pieces instead of 2 long pieces. I hope that kind of makes sense as far as how I was trying to describe that. But like I said, that was just for support. I have, we have seen people who just kind of stack it next to each other, the long boards, which is fine. But because of our old joist there, even though it was being sistered with the new joist, we thought that it was important to make sure that the floorboards were going to be sturdy as well. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too long. I really try not to make the videos too long. I kind of just wanted to show you guys what we did with the floor, and then eventually show you guys the final product of all this hard work. But I really want to thank you guys for watching, and all the nice comments that we received. We really do work hard on this, and just seeing this come together is a great moment for us, because we weren't really sure how this was going to turn out. We were hopeful, but to actually see it coming together kind of brings everything into perspective of what we're trying to do here and timelines of, when we're going to complete everything. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.